I'm Dale Smith for Looney Politics, and this last week we saw Conservative leader Erin O'Toole effectively weaponize the Reform Act that his party voted into place, which was supposed to keep his powers in check. Now, if you recall, the Reform Act was Michael Chong's legislative initiative to try and rebalance the powers of the caucus versus that of the leader. Leaders have been accumulating power since 1919, when parties moved from a caucus selection method of selecting leaders to one where party members vote on them. This allowed party leaders to accumulate a lot more power and claim democratic legitimacy for said accumulation of power, and MPs within the caucus started losing that ability. Michael Chong's initial attempt would have tried to place more limits on the leader's power, but in the passage of that legislation, it was largely defanged. What we saw this last week was Erin O'Toole effectively using the powers in that legislation for his own benefit. Now, some of us have warned since the beginning that this legislation was not going to solve any of the problems that it claimed to. For example, when it comes to the ability to vote out members of caucus, the leader was very easily able to manipulate that, and we saw that with Erin O'Toole both during the leadership and after with the expulsion of Derek Sloan. As well, the selection of a 20% threshold of caucus necessary to trigger a vote on a leader needed to be public, which essentially puts a target on the back of those 20% of members of caucus. And why that's important is the way in which the bill was weaponized this week around Erin O'Toole's questions of his current leadership. Now, when Senator Batters launched her petition, it quickly became known to those of us who are in the know that Erin O'Toole had gathered 70 MPs that had essentially enough power within caucus to expel any member who signed Senator Batters' petition, which goes against the whole spirit of why the Reform Act exists, and puts a target on the back of anyone who dissents against the leadership. This is a violation of the spirit of the act, and more proof that the way in which we select our leaders and the way in which we hold them to account is fundamentally broken in this country. In order to actually fix that problem, we need to do away with the selection of leaders by membership vote, and we need to return to caucus selection. That is the only way to hold leaders accountable for their actions and to make sure that they are responsive to the needs of the MPs that they lead. For Looney Politics, I'm Dale Smith.